Hello everyone and welcome along to another Really Connect webinar. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today, and it's an absolute pleasure for me to be introducing to you one of the star colleagues and team members of Really Connect, Naomi Johnson. How are you, Naomi?
I'm good, thank you, Mike. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, very well. We've got a lot of great content to cover here today, folks, so I'm going to be handing over to Naomi in just a moment. Before I do that, I just wanted to give you a bit of background about Naomi and about this session, but Naomi will go into a lot more detail about the agenda of it and so on. However, so the purpose of this webinar is that we're going to be looking at, or Naomi will be looking at, how to create an engaging profile that will bring you results. And I have to say that since Naomi joined our team back in early 2013, she's been all about that. She is all about results. And as you'll see from her years of business experience, she's going to be sharing with you a lot of the things that, through her own experience, that haven't worked and have worked. And, you know, she's got a wealth of experience of being in business, from being in business close to 9 years. And, you know, she's been through the peaks and troughs of it. And so she's able to share some very valuable wisdom about how to engage and connect with people. And that's why whenever she does an accelerator session with the Really Connect people who are part of our community, she always looks to be able to identify from your LinkedIn profile what are the weaknesses and what are the strengths, and most importantly, how can you get yourself in front of the right type of decision makers and prospects and people that you want to do business with. So I'm really looking forward to this webinar with you, Naomi. I know I've listened to some of your calls from time to time, but you know I know that you're constantly evolving based on the feedback you get from people. So listen, I'm gonna turn off my microphone and hand it over to you. So absolutely looking forward to this, and Naomi, I can't wait for this. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction. It's so great to have so many of you here today. I know I've spoken to quite a few of you on the phone one-to-one, and others of you booked in to speak with myself, and others of you are just sort of starting out to work out what LinkedIn is about and how to use it. And we often hear people say, yeah, I'm on it, but I just don't know what to do with it. And we see a lot of interesting things on people's profiles, either completely neglected or things that are completely off base. So what I want to do today is just really delve into the profile and how you can make it engaging to get results for your business. So the agenda for today is to talk about today's aims, introduce myself so you understand a little bit more about where I'm coming from and why I can speak on this subject. Just have a little compare of different platforms and how they would assist you in your business. Look at some general lead generation advice that's out in the market that is very, very good quality advice, and how it can actually be applied to LinkedIn and how LinkedIn can help you apply it. And then we're going to have a brief discussion about social etiquette. And I know from talking to a lot of people, those who don't like LinkedIn is usually because of something somebody else is doing, either spamming them or just pelting messages out there without really thinking about it. So we're going to look at that. And we're going to look at active, passive and proactive strategies and just touch on those things that you can be doing to drive traffic to your profile. And then when people get to your profile, making sure that's an engaging profile that really does a good job for you. So about myself, oh no, that's the wrong bit. Okay, so just wanting to focus on our aim today. So we all know we're heading in the right direction. I think if you're watching this even as a job seeker, as a solo entrepreneur, or even in a big business as a sales director, we can all agree that we do have the same aim as each other. We want to get a result, and namely we want to get paying clients, whether that's somebody who's going to sponsor our social enterprise, whether it's someone who's going to pay us to do a job, a full-time job, a part-time job, or even as consultants, or even to buy a product. So all of us are here to get paying clients. We're all here to make money, even if it's for charity. And we can agree that we would really like to do it in the fastest way possible. I don't think I'm assuming too much that most of us would rather have more fun, more time for our family and chill out more, or at least get more results from the time that we do put into our business. We would rather spend 7 hours a day working and getting 10 new clients a day than we would getting 1 new client a day. I don't think anybody would say, I'd love to work 7 hours for 1 client. I think you'd all agree we'd like to get 10 clients in 7 hours. So the idea of what we're going to do today is all about helping you to gain paying clients in the fastest way possible. And we knew as well that the way to do this is by completing a full business presentation. If someone doesn't know what your business does or what you're about, how can they buy it? A business presentation could be you sitting in front of them going through your presentation, or it could be you showing them a video and they see what the product's all about. Normal products, you might see them advertised on the TV, that's a business product presentation, and then you see it on the shelf and you make a decision whether to buy it or not for your home or business. But people need to know what your product is. So we need to help people by doing a full business presentation. Now, for those of us that do have to take on one-to-one clients, or well, it's obvious for everybody really, you want to, when you have to do a presentation and use your time, you want to make sure you're doing a business presentation to someone who's likely to buy from you. If it's your granny who's just never going to buy from you, why would you sit there and waste your time doing a presentation? So it's all about getting in front of your target market. Who is the person most likely to buy your product? Who is the person you really want as your client? So it's about getting in front of the target market, not wasting your time, doing as many business presentations as possible, being able to go from beginning to end of that business presentation so the person has all the information they need to make a decision as to whether to work for you, and doing that in the fastest way possible so you can gain paying clients. Can we all agree that is pretty much what all of us are here for? So that's the aim of this session today, is to really focus on how we can achieve that objective. So just a bit more about me and where I'm coming from. I am the training consultant here at Really LinkedIn. I've been here for 9 months and I've spoken with about 100 plus businesses, from the solo entrepreneur right up to the director of big companies as well. We're talking about their profiles, talking about their strategy, how they're using LinkedIn, how they want to be using LinkedIn, the results they're getting, really delving into this and giving them some strategies. I have 8 years worth of small business experience, and I have somehow ended up becoming a small business marketing specialist. And I don't know how that quite happened, because it wasn't where I was starting out from, but it is where I ended up. The reason for this being, and I'm speaking directly here to coaches and consultants, I started my own coaching business 8 years ago, and for one thing or another, it all led to me just getting really good at marketing and understanding how marketing works, because what I was doing wasn't getting me the clients fast enough, so I was learning instead of coaching. And when it comes to my coaching skills, well, anyone who's talked to me probably knows I talk way more than I should. And I ask good questions, but then I like to talk. And I'm sure that as a coach, I'm probably not the best anymore, but as the results of the years gone by is that actually I've got really good at marketing. So my first business, I started off really well in coaching. I actually had 10 individual paying clients, 2 corporate clients, and a contract within my niche area. Within the first 6 months of my business, I was actually just really going well. But then I lost the plot and I ended up flat broke. And 3 years later, I was actually sleeping on the sofa, eating baked beans for every meal, I kid you not. And I was housebound in London and couldn't go anywhere because I couldn't afford the transport. And in a really bad place. And I even had to open a tin of baked beans with a knife because my housemate, who was a chef, had gone off with a tin opener and left me alone without it. So it was a really dark period of time, and what I did was actually I wrote a book called Grassroots to Green Shoots, which you can find at the website showing there. And this is a really honest insight into how that happened, what happened, and what I learned from it. As a result of writing this book and the job I was actually in when I wrote the book, which was Marketing Help for Coaches, I ended up being given the company Marketing Help for Coaches by the proprietor at the time, who's Hannah McNamara. And I, again, started off really well. I made £12,000 in the first 3 months, did exceptional things, and then kind of lost the plot and ended up flat broke 3 years later. And you could ask, why am I sharing this with you? Well, the truth is that I think that really helps you to see where I'm coming from, that I actually know what I'm talking about when I say these are things that need to happen. The reasons why I did really well and then I didn't do really well is because I forgot to keep a methodical approach to what I was doing, to keep out there, to keep doing business presentations, to keep listening to the market and being willing to ask for the business. And I just wasn't doing that quite a lot of the time, and would just get into creator mode and not do it. So what I did was I decided that well, as I say in my book, I either say get with the program or get out. You either have to start doing sales and doing real business presentations, or you have to go and get a job with somebody else. And I don't know what was going on. I was not quick to catch on. It took me 7 years to catch on. But in the end, I decided that the entrepreneur spirit in me was never ever going to die, and I was miserable in every job I took. So I decided that I had to get really with this, and I took a job doing telesales for 6 months, just getting full submersion into doing the whole reaching out to people and getting used to speaking to people and getting used to doing a business presentation, until that actually became a habit. And now my default position is go to my list and make phone calls, which is fantastic, and that's how we're growing so fast and our courses are selling out, because we are doing the right number of business presentations and getting the leads into the business. So basically I had a choice, either get with the program or don't. And I know if you're in a sales role, you have bosses hanging over you saying get out there, do a sales presentation, you have targets you have to achieve. So you know what I'm talking about. Probably what you don't know is that half the other people don't know this, so that's why I'm saying it. Okay, so I work with fantastic people. I work with Bart Verdonk and Mike Clark, which is another thing as well. If you've got a great product and a great team behind you, you can pretty much achieve anything. Bert is a seasoned networker and a life hacker, and he brings a huge amount to the course, and people get, you know, what we do here at LinkedIn. And Mike is a specialist in sales and is also in LinkedIn, specialist in LinkedIn as well. So it's a really great team. These are some of the companies that we've worked with since we started up a couple of years ago. And so one thing I just want to cover, I probably did just cover it, so I'll just run it through really quickly, but just some of the things I've come to know to be true from all my years of experience is that sales is absolutely imperative to your business. There's no two ways about it. If you don't do sales, you've got no business. You're just having a party, basically. And you also need to have a sales process. You need to know how you're walking people through from beginning to end, from when they start showing an interest to when they start to discover more about you to the point where they start making a decision. And you need resources, and you need to be able to track where those people are and also measure, so you can see where people are dropping off the process. So maybe they're dropping off when they watch your presentation, they're not coming to you to ask more, or maybe they normally don't have money. These kind of things will actually tell you how your sales are going, and you can track and measure it. And also you've got to market, and in your marketing, and this is going to come up a lot later in this webinar, so I really want you to listen to this bit, is your marketing has to talk about solving a problem. What is it you are offering and delivering to other people that's of value? What problem are you taking away from them? And then in the problem that you're solving for them, you've got to be able to solve it well. And that's what's going to get you referred around. You've got to speak to the pain that the people are in. And it doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. I know a lot of people think, yeah, I need to have a mailing list, I need to have a weekly newsletter, I need to write new content, I've got to send out a certain number of tweets every week, I've got to put interesting statuses on my Facebook. The truth is that actually none of these things are true. It does depend what type of business you're in, the scale of the business, and the number of leads that you need coming into the business every week to feed your sales team or to generate the amount of money that you need, so that it's a different cup of tea. Like we do a lot of newsletters and tweets and stuff like that because we have the capacity to do so. But if you are a solo entrepreneur, this really isn't necessary, because let me ask you this question: which would you prefer? 500 passive Twitter followers you have to tease and nurture with fresh content, or 10 people that are primed and ready to discuss your opportunity? So that's 10 people who are like, yeah, actually, I need that service and I'd like that service. I would like to have a conversation about it. Please tell me what you do because I'm in the market to buy what you're offering. That is way more valuable than having 500 Twitter followers that may look at Twitter today. They might not look at it again until next week. They might look at what you're writing. They may not. They may click through on your link that you've offered. They may not. They may read the content that you've offered. They may not. There's just so many variables there as to what someone could or couldn't do. The 500 passive Twitter followers is probably very, very low value compared to the 10 people that are primed and ready to discuss your opportunity. So what I'd like to discuss is how you get those 10 primed and ready people that want to talk to you. So let's just do refocus on our aim. I said at the beginning, you know, we're here to talk about gaining paying clients in the fastest way possible by completing a full business presentation to our target market. And just looking at this chart here that I put together, we can see the difference between Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is low maintenance. You can set up your Facebook profile, your LinkedIn profile, and just leave it there if you want to, or you can actually start doing some more active and proactive strategies. But your LinkedIn profile, if done correctly, will always be working for you because it's there and it's succinct and you can have presentations on it. A Twitter follower and Facebook, you're constantly having to put stuff out there and be interactive, so it's very high maintenance. And you get very little feedback. You do get some feedback, but not a great deal. Most people's pages don't get anyone commenting. In fact, most people don't even look at it after they've signed up and said they like the page. Whereas on LinkedIn, it's really easy to have real conversations with real people who are looking to buy from you. And you can get instant results as well because you're actually having a business presentation. You're not just putting out there a passive message and hoping somebody sees it. And it's really fast and instant because you can identify who it is you want to talk to and start maneuvering your way to get to talk to that person. It's also really great for your trust because this is going to be built on years and years of investment that you've already done. For the whole of your career, you've already been getting known in your industry, producing results for people, doing really, really good things, and they know, like, and trust you. And when they know, like, and trust you, they will introduce you to the people they know. And they'll say, oh yeah, you need to speak to John. He does this really, really well. And I'm sure we all know when we get referred into a meeting and someone has a pre-knowledge of us already and a personal recommendation, our job as a salesperson is a lot easier and a lot faster because a lot of their decision has already been made. They're not going to look around. People don't have time to shop around. And if someone that they trust says that you're really good, that's good enough. They'll be like, right, if you can do this job, then the job is yours. And you have the power of doing that with LinkedIn. It's to leverage that trust and that reputation you've been building up all your career and all the contacts and people you know. You've been building all of that up, investing in that for the last 10, 20, 30 years. And you now have the power to actually leverage it and make it work for you and get people you know to introduce you. And it could even be from an industry you think is completely unrelated. You have no idea who knows who until you get on LinkedIn and start doing some of the search stuff, which I'll cover later. So it's very, very proactive on LinkedIn, and it's very much you're pretty much guaranteed a result because you're either going to get someone say I'm not interested and know for sure that they're not interested because you know that they've looked at your information and they were the target market, or they're going to go yeah, I'll start a conversation about that, or they'll buy from you. So you're going to get feedback, and it's going to be good feedback, and you're going to know how well you're hitting the mark with what you're delivering. So here's something that I hear a lot in business. They go, yeah, that's all right, Naomi, that's great, but in my business, I rely on word of mouth. If you're at the position in your business where you're relying on word of mouth, you've pretty much made it. That is absolutely perfect. What that tells me is that you've got a valuable service, you deliver really well, people know you, like you, they trust you, and that you deliver and you say you do what you say you're going to do. However, within that, and that is having a really great business, there is just one problem. And can anyone see what is actually wrong with that sentence? In my business, I rely on word of mouth. What do you think? What do you think is wrong with that sentence? You can put it in the chat box if you want. Let us know what you think is wrong with that statement. Yep. Okay, so what's wrong with that statement is the word rely. So I'm just going to whiz through those bits because it came up wrong way around. So what I have come up with, having spoken to so many people, is excellence in business is receiving word of mouth recommendations. It really is. But ignorance is relying on them. It might sound really harsh, but it really is. If you're actually building a business that is predictable, that you know if you put a certain amount of effort in, you get something out, why would you just rely on this thing maybe happening, perhaps happening, could be happening, and just wait and see if it happens? Because one day somebody else might come on the market, or you might not keep up with that relationship so well, and they'll start recommending somebody else, or the market will evolve and people won't know that your solution has evolved with it, and that you actually could be the one delivering that result. So at any time, word of mouth could just stop, or people might just not think of you today. So what we need to do is get to a point where we can sort of make word of mouth happen in a really, really natural way and have some form of control over it, so we're not actually just relying on it. And that comes down to leveraging the trust already in your network. Now, I want you to imagine for a second, if you could look in somebody's address book and see who they knew and ask to be introduced to your ideal prospect, what would that do for your business? I'm just, in common lead generation advice, okay, this is some stuff I just want to cover with you. A common lead generation advice says your database is your asset, it's who you know. If you're not currently running even a basic thing like an Excel spreadsheet with with all your prospects listed in it, you haven't really got a business, because you need to know who your clients are, who your prospect clients are. Some people use Salesforce, some people use Infusionsoft. There's lots of really big ones that lots of big companies use, and that's really great. If you are someone from a small business, then I would just say start with Excel. Excel is a fine place to be putting your database of people you've got as prospects, and I would definitely start doing that. And then with a lot of businesses, especially in multi-level businesses, when they get someone started, they say make a list of 200 people you know. And then when you've got this list of 200 people you know, they say call them and let them know what you're doing. The person on the end of the phone will either become a client or they'll refer you. And you can ask the person on the end of the phone, who might be your mum's best friend that you're just phoning up, to say, hey, I've started this new business and, you know, it's really interesting. I just want to let you know that I'm doing it. Do you know anybody who would fit my ideal description of my ideal client? And they're like, oh, they sit there going, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure. Let me have a think about it. Who matches your description? And the chances are they probably won't come up with anybody. But what you can do on LinkedIn is actually run an advanced search. So what I've done here is I've just done a screenshot of a few bits of LinkedIn, and I've put in for the advanced search that the keyword is sales directors. I'm looking for sales directors. And this person is in my second degree. That's what you can see there with the number 2 second there. I don't know Dan Ackers, but he does meet the description of my search. And so I would like an introduction to him. Now, I wouldn't be able to go to Mike or Bert or Charles here and actually go to them and say, oh, who do you know who's a sales director, Mike? And he would go, oh, well, I know quite a lot, I suppose, but they're in, and he'd probably list off the different types of industries that they're in, and it wouldn't be very defined or pinpointed. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that person sounds interesting. Could you perhaps give me an introduction? He'd be like, well, yeah, maybe. What are you offering? And it would be very kind of loose, and it really wouldn't work very well. Whereas if I had done a very clear search and said, I'm looking for companies that are FTSE 100, someone who's really experienced, someone who's a business development manager, someone who's in the southwest of London, these are my search criteria. And then it comes up and it says, Michael, Bert, and Charles, they know somebody and his name is Darren. I can then go to Mike and say, Mike, this guy Darren that you know, I've got this product and this is what it does, and I'm looking at Darren's profile and I've learned all these things about Darren, and I think what I've got here could be really interesting to him. I don't know how well you know him, but would you be willing to make an introduction on my behalf? And if he does know him very well and the relationship there is good, and he says, yeah, okay, I know that you're good at what you do. I know that you produce results for people. I'll definitely introduce you. And so then he can make the introduction, and because it's coming in with a referral, with Mike saying, oh, I really recommend you speak to Naomi. She can really help you with this issue I know you've got. Then there's a connection there. And so what I've done is actually taken control of the process of asking Mike to speak on my behalf, which is word of mouth, but I've actually started to get in control, and I've actually been able to find my target market, see inside his address book, inside his mind, where he'd be like, oh, Naomi, I don't know. And I've actually been able to tell him who he knows and say, I've looked at his profile, I've researched him, I really would like to speak to him. I really think I've got a solution to the problem I know that he has. Based on what I've been reading about his industry, about his company, about those types of things. So that's why it's extremely, extremely powerful. So back to the common lead generation advice, and it's brilliant advice, and I expect all of you to be following it already, and how this actually fits with LinkedIn. LinkedIn actually will keep your database up to date. So if someone changes their email, changes their telephone number, changes their company, you can actually keep that up to date. You don't have to be talking to them all the time to know they've changed job. And that database is on LinkedIn. Now, we would never recommend that you only had it on LinkedIn, because if anything happened to your account, you could just lose the whole lot. So it's really good to download it frequently. But that database, when you download your LinkedIn profile and all your contacts, it will bring across all the most relevant information. Now, if you want to send out a Christmas card via email to your business contacts and you download your LinkedIn account, you will actually not get a single bounced email back, because if you just downloaded it, like this week is probably a good week, or a couple of weeks before Christmas, that it would be the most relevant and up-to-date information that's available. That is their current email address. So you're not going to get any bounces back. With this, with starting with a list of 200 people, LinkedIn, you can have as many contacts as you need, and it will also predict for you who you know and make continuous suggestions as to who you know. So, oh yeah, I didn't think of that person. Yeah, I know that person. And you can start reaching out to them and connecting. But remember, there's some social etiquette that comes into that, so I'm going to come back to that later on. You can keep up to date with what they're up to by seeing their profiles, and also in the activity feed when someone gets a new job, or they change something on their profile that's relevant, or it's their birthday. Even LinkedIn will tell you it's their birthday, and you can wish them a happy day. And you can also keep other people up to date as well by putting out your own messages and saying, this is what we're doing, this is what we're up to. If you're interested, let us know. Or we're holding a webinar today. Do you want to come along? And it also shows you who you have in common as well. So the thing I just showed you there, like the people you know that you can get introduced to. And if you put on there a clear and concise message about what you do, you're constantly bringing in really good leads to your business. So I'm just trying to see where we're up to. So yeah, back to the agenda. We're talking about social etiquette there. Please don't just start sending people out invitations. There is a strategy for how you're actually going to get people engaged with you. It's a really good idea to have a think about what you like people doing and things that you don't like people doing, and what they do that turns you off. And it's a really, really interesting thing what we've got here, because we've always had networking, we've always had word of mouth, and these concepts have lasted the test of time. And business always comes out of relationship. But this really is the first time in the history of the human race that we've ever had something that's online and offline at the same time, and trying to work out this new behavior, this new way of doing things. And it is actually a very costly experience if you don't know how to do this right, and if you put out there the wrong message. You actually have the ability to have people start disliking you, unsubscribing from your feeds, and turning off from you without you even realizing it. So you really need to get on top of this as quickly as possible, so you start doing the right things and building the real relationships. LinkedIn does not replace the need for a real business relationship to pick up the phone. It's not going to do the sales job for you. It's just a really helpful tool. And actually, the quicker you can get off of LinkedIn and have a real conversation with the person you found on LinkedIn, that's where the value happens. That's when things really start to happen for you. And imagine, like, if you learned to get this right now, and I encourage you to really get on top of this, because the value for what LinkedIn can do for you is all sitting there. But until everybody starts working out how to use it, and there's an expectation around how to use it, and it becomes quite normal to pick up the phone and say, I saw on LinkedIn that you know this person, would you introduce me? Our results will be somewhat limited. They're not completely limited, but somewhat. we can get way more from this if more people are using it and using it in the right way. And there's an expectation that you will phone and you will ask to be introduced. And that content there of how to do social etiquette, this is very much what we cover on our social selling program. It's about normal selling, but actually doing it in a really social way that works, that builds relationships, that builds trust, and really moves things forward. And it's something that Bert brings a lot to the table because he was an expert networker, still is an expert networker, and he brings all of that wealth of knowledge to the table and how you actually interact on LinkedIn. And we actually supply you quite a lot of templates that you can use for how you phrase things and communicate with people, and also help speed up that process as well. So there's an awful lot in there, but not necessarily what I'm going to cover today. What I wanted to look at really is your passive, active, and proactive strategies. Now, if your profile is no good, no matter what activity you do on LinkedIn, it will be a waste of time. In fact, with 259 million 259 million users on LinkedIn, you can pretty much guess your competitor is there, and if their profile is filled out better, they're going to get the business, and you are not. In fact, it can even damage the brand of your company. So if you're a really, really big company and you've not taken care of this, it can look that it doesn't matter whether you choose to use LinkedIn or you don't choose to use LinkedIn. Your employees are on LinkedIn, and it is communicating something about your company. So you almost have absolutely no choice, at least to standardize the profiles, put a company profile on there, to fill out some information. Even if you just set it and forget it, it's still going to be working for you better than having nothing at all. A blank profile makes it hard for people to know what you do. It makes it hard for them to be able to refer you. And even if you don't want those things, it does reflect quite badly on you that you haven't thought to fill them in. So, for example, if you're in recruitment and you haven't filled this in, filled in what your company does, what it specializes in, and how to get in touch, somebody that you're reaching out to, top talent that you're reaching out to and saying, we really want you to come and work for our company, or we'd really like you to use our agency to get this job, if you phone them up and leave them a message and you tell them your name, that person's actually going to go onto LinkedIn and look at your name, find out who you are, what your credentials are, who you're connected to, and whether you're worth their time. That's what top talent are doing today. They're actually sitting there going, well, what agencies do I want to be speaking to? Because I only have so much time and I want to be connected into the best opportunities. And they can see who you know and what you're about. So you really want to get that filled in. Otherwise, the top talent is going to go elsewhere, as well as the clients as well. So that's a really good reason why you need to have something there, even if it's just a passive thing and it's just sitting there. And also, just with that as well, with your profile, if you use keywords in your profile, you are going to get higher up on the Google search as well. I put in the other day to Google organizational growth. Of course, there's thousands of responses for organizational growth. But then the person I was talking to, I put his name next to it. And I said, well, let's just say that I know that organizational growth is the question we're talking about. And I remember that your name is Paul. And I remember that your surname started with H, but I actually can't remember the rest of it. So I just put organizational growth, Paul H. He came up third in the Google rankings. And so he was third on the search results. And I said, yep, there you are. I found you already. That is the power of having your keywords in your profile and actually having it filled out. And you, again, just set it and forget it if that's what you want to do, but at least have something on there that communicates what you're doing. So let's just have a quick chat. Mike, maybe if you could just help out here, because I can't actually see the results without taking my screen off. But everyone who's listening, do you want to just volunteer some ideas? What things could you be doing to drive somebody to your profile?
Good question there, Naomi. Can people hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep, okay, great. Excellent. So we've got people who are responding now, which is very cool. So improve my keywords and simplify my profile, says Steve. You could circulate business-related articles. Absolutely, Colin. and make sure you have a link, obviously, back to your profile as well. Address at bottom of emails, yep. You can have them in your signature of your emails. You can also even have them in your website these days as well. So having them in on your website, I've seen a number of people have links to their profile, which is great. Social media, absolutely. So you've got some use photos and graphics, says John. Dr. Eddie is saying, tell people what I am working on now. Yep. So these are some really, really effective ways, and I think one of the ones, if I can just add my couple cents in there, Naomi, the one I find really, really important and valuable is looking at the rich media content of your profile. You know, so rich media content is stuff we cover in more detail. I won't go into too much information about it, but it's URLs that you can put into your profile, and it means that you can put SlideShare presentations. SlideShare is like PowerPoint, YouTube for PowerPoint, basically, and so you can copy URLs and put PowerPoint presentations inside your profile. You can put YouTube videos. So these videos, particularly their keyword search, can be sitting in other platforms, getting exposure to a lot of other people, and then you can point them back to your profile. And you can even capture leads and do all sorts of very cool things. So some very good input there.
Yeah, so those are all great ways to drive people to your profile. And actually, Mike, that's something we're going to come on to in a minute. It's exactly what you just said, so that's great. So what I want to pose out there right now is everything that you do that's proactive and active on LinkedIn will always come back to what's passive. So if you comment in a group and somebody likes what you've said, that's brilliant. That's exactly what you want. But what they're going to do next, they're going to click on your name and they're going to go through to your profile and they're going to find out more about you. And if you start reaching out to people and asking them to connect with you or asking someone to refer you in, what are they going to do? They're going to come and look at your profile. So this is why your profile is so important. So the question is, when they get to your profile, what will they learn about you when they get there? What information will they be taking away about you, and what impression will you be making? And it's this reason that your profile is one of the most important things to have polished up and looking good and communicating your message. Because as we say, coming back to our aim today, it's all about getting paying clients in the fastest way possible by completing a full business presentation to your target market. Now, we're using LinkedIn, as we know, so people are coming to LinkedIn and they're putting their eyeballs on your page. And if your profile doesn't do you any good, what's going to happen is disconnect. The person is going to go, no, that's not for me. And actually, the person referring would look like a bit of an idiot too. So I might want to really refer somebody's product and put it out there and drive traffic to it. And I might be someone really influential. There are some very influential people out there that if you got their attention and they really loved your cause and your product, they would be like, wow, I want this out in the world. And it's not even about their relationship with you and liking you or you having to ask them. They actually just want to get your product out there because they like it. And their ability to share that and share that easily is really, really important. Now, if they are sharing it and they're coming back to your page and it's empty, it's not filled out, and it's creating that impression that you don't really care, you've not really got your stuff together, it's going to create a big disconnect. And LinkedIn is fast becoming a place where people want to connect with you and see what you're doing. So again, even if it's not something proactive you wanted to start using, passively, you do need to get this in place and make it start working for you. So what are the things that makes an engaging profile? So I'm going to start off with some of the basics and then we're going to run into some of the more bigger stuff in a minute. So let's talk about the obvious things. It needs to be professionally polished. You need to have capital letters throughout, not throughout, but in all the relevant places. So you might think, the style of writing where you do all lowercase is a really great idea. It is when you've got the font, the colors, and everything else in marketing to back you up. But in LinkedIn, you don't have that. You need to follow the set way it's done. Put capital letters at the beginning of the name of your school. Check out all the different things in your profile and make sure, like in your experience, if you've got a capital letter, if you've got capital letters at the beginning of the sentence, in all the places that Good English tells you to have it, make sure it's there. And paragraph spacing is really good as well, because if it's all clumped together, it will the person's eye will go straight to it, and we make instant decisions on this kind of stuff. We're like, oh, that's a mess, I'm not looking at it. Or, oh, that person doesn't care about their profile. They don't care about their profile and their online reputation, that I can't work with them. So you want to make sure that things are spaced out and it just looks good. Make sure there's no typos. Use proper English if that's your language. Don't if you're Chinese or whatever else. But use the proper language that is, professional language, and add your company logo. So on that, it's a case of connecting with the company profile of the company you work for. So if your company has got a company profile, just go and to your profile, change the name of it, rewrite it, and it should predict for you and predict the company for you and allow you to click it, and then you would actually be attached to your company profile, and a logo will appear on your profile. So if you need to know more about that, our book, How to Really Use LinkedIn, will actually go into a lot more detail into the technical side of things. So I'm not going to cover that today. The other thing to do, and this is where it gets really, really interesting when it comes to the engaging people. So the first that I just said just now was more around, just making it look good. But it doesn't really engage, but it does give off an impression about you. But engaging is really much more than that. It's about speaking in layman's terms. And why would I do that? Why would I say speak in layman's terms? The reason is if you're speaking in big words, often people don't actually understand the tangible benefit that you can bring to the company and what it is that you do. And we tend to see a lot of people bringing up these big words like effective communication and boardroom style, and I can't think of them now, but there's loads of words you see people using, especially coaches do this. And you're like, yeah, but what do you do? Like, what's the tangible bottom line result that you do that helps me? And it's really important to actually speak to to talk about the problem that your target audience are suffering with, so that they go, oh yeah, I have that problem. Yeah, that happens to me. And then they can say, oh, that's an interesting solution. Actually, I do need a solution to this problem. I should engage with this. But also at the same time, and I had this conversation yesterday with someone, and it's a really interesting conversation because I was saying to the person about the software that they had put together, and they needed to get it into a certain type of client business. And I was like, wow, that's really, really interesting. And it actually really helps the end user, which was somebody looking to hire the conference space. And I'm sure if any of us have hired conference space, we're looking around online on the internet, we're trying to find the right location. Has it got the right features that we need? Is it big enough? Can it fit the number of people we want? How do we put the furniture in? We have all these questions and confusions. And what actually happens is that the individual who's looking to buy will look at lots of different places and waste a lot of time doing it. But worse than that, they'll ask a lot of questions of the sales team at that venue, and the venue will have to sit there and answer those questions. And the sales process, the time it takes to get a client, can be extremely long. So if you have I spoke to one person the other week, it's a similar business actually, and they said that for a new client coming in, it could take a week to work out how the tables should actually be laid out, because it takes that much time to try out all the different designs and be moving them, etc., etc. And that's a huge cost to a business. The cost of their wages, the cost of their time, the opportunity that's got lost because they spent all that time there. This new software that's come in is actually shifting that so they can do it all online and work it out, and they can actually design their whole conference space and how they want it laid out before they even have to pick up the phone to the venue. Can you imagine what that would do for your business if the person had already engaged with your content, already engaged with your presentation, and already worked out a lot of the things that your salespeople would sit there working through with them? They'd already worked it out, and they picked up their phone and said, yeah, I really like to hire your venue on these dates. I see you're available, and I want the furniture laid out exactly like this, and I want it to look like that. Can you imagine how much that would save the company in terms of time and money? And so that was the solution that I was, you could put out there to, like, saying to the end client and making that really, really tangible. So dropping all the big words about our effective communication and our systems and our processes and our dynamic database and blah, blah, blah. But actually speaking to, you suffer with these problems. It takes a long time for a new client to work out whether they want to hire your space. Your space isn't being sold in the time that you're messing around with it. Let's get to that there, and then let's get that product out and let help you solve that issue. But then on the other side of that, if I get that message out about how I can save people time, and I as the end user looking to use that conference space, I know this technology exists, I kind of want to use that venue that I've just found out about, but they're frustrating me because it's taking so much time. Why on earth are they not using this software that I know exists? What am I going to do? I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to say, excuse me, do you use this software? No, don't know what you're talking about, never heard of it. Like, seriously guys, I really wish you'd use this software because as a user myself, like, I really would like to use it. And the person goes, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about it. So they send the link over. And now me, as the end user, I'm actually word of mouth referring that product into that organization. And for you as the person selling, what have you got? You've just now got a user saying, please use this product. And they're going to engage with the product online. They go, yeah, we need this at our venue. Please come in and have a consultation with us. So we always need to be thinking about whether our target audience can understand what we're talking about and whether they can see that it solves their problem and it's an easy, understandable solution, and also whether the end user would also refer us in, or even just the layperson. Like, I have nothing to do with health and safety, and yet because I watched somebody's video on their LinkedIn profile that talks about their unique approach to the industry and the problems that usually come up in the industry, and they had a different approach to it, and I built rapport. And the 3 minutes I was looking at their video, I went, oh, I really like what she does. I really understand that. I would now recommend that person, and I've never met them. But I would say, oh, you really need to speak to this person. And it's as easy as that to get your product in people's faces and then knowing about you and doing all of this legwork for you without you having to even know it's going on. So when you're writing out your profile and filling in your summary and your experience, you need to be asking the question, what does this person need to know about my product in order for them to make an informed decision? Because you might not know this, but 60% of the buying decision today has already been made before the prospect even picks up the phone. And I know people are like, qualify that statement. What on earth do you mean? Like, how do you know this? Well, let's delve into it. If the person has seen your full business presentation, they now know about what you do. You do not have to drive to their venue, drink their cups of tea, eat their biscuits, sit there being all polite with them, for them to, in the first 2 minutes, to go, oh, yeah, no, that's not for us. And then have to keep doing the follow-up call saying, well, are you interested? Are you interested? And that person knew straight away they weren't going to buy, but now they're just too scared to tell you they're not going to buy. So you can save yourself a lot of time if your business presentation is actually being done for you already. And remember how I said earlier in our mission statement today, our aim was that we wanted to get the full business presentation out there. Well, nobody ever said you had to do the full business presentation in person. You can actually do your full business presentation online. So this today, doing this with you now, is actually a conversation I have with a huge number of people on a one-to-one basis. But I'm now doing it en masse, and I have the ability to put this webinar onto my profile and do my full business presentation to people. Even when I'm asleep, people can be looking at it, and they can decide if it is for them within the first 2 minutes. And they get a full understanding as to whether this is for them or not, and they can switch off if it's not, or they can stay tuned if it is. And then they can get to more and more detail as they go on and go, right, this is something worthwhile, I want to have a conversation about this, and I want to go ahead with it. Now, in a big business, it's easy for that presentation to be shared with other senior decision makers within the company. They can go, oh, this is really interesting, I'll just send this to my boss and see what he thinks. And then the boss will look at the full business presentation and go, yeah, that's good. Or they'll go, no, that's not for us. Again, not wasting your time. Or so they say, yes, that's good for us. Right, well, we're willing to invest in the solution. And I can see that this product really delivers. I can see that these people have used it and they believe in it. And they may even, before they even pick up the phone to you, pick up the phone to the person that they know on LinkedIn and say, look, I see you've recommended this product. Is it good? Should I work with them? Are they good people? Are they reputable? And they go, yeah, that's why I recommended them. You should definitely talk to them. They're great people. Okay, cool. So before you've even got in there, they've got social proof that what you do is good. They've checked your references and your credentials, and they've watched your full business presentation. So those things you can see there are actually things that are normally in the sales process. And they usually come at the end after they've discovered more about you. You've gone in, they've discovered about you, then they're checking up on your references and who they know, if they really trust you or want to go with this. It's actually flipped on its head that all of this stuff has happened before the person's picked up the phone. So can you imagine what's going to happen now when you actually do get the phone call? That person has engaged with your full online message, because if they weren't interested, they would have switched it off after 2-3 minutes and said, nope, that's not for me. So they've engaged with your presentation, they know what you're about, and now all they want to do is have a conversation about how exactly does this work for me? I have some questions, how can we tailor this to my needs? And you're having a much more in-depth conversation, and they know that they like you and they're willing to buy from you. So that's how 60% of the decision-making process has already taken place, and why it's so important to be using your LinkedIn profile and to have it working for you, because it does pre-qualify leads, and it really does work for you. So some things you want to be thinking about after you've got your content on there, which is, you'd have a video, a PowerPoint presentation, you might have an animated video that really talks about what you do, you might have slides that talk about it, all sorts of different things you can actually attach to your profile. And you'll see some on my profile, Mike's profile, and you'll also see that as colleagues we actually have the same stuff as well, because it's the same message going out to everyone, and there's consistency in our branding there. So what you need to ask yourself after you've got all of these items on your profile is, how do I want a person to get in contact with me? Do I want them to join my mailing list? Do I want them to send me an invitation to connect on LinkedIn? Or do I want them to pick up the phone? If you're in the kind of business where somebody is needing to make a decision and get a result straight away, then you need to put your phone number on there. Because if you don't, they'll just move on to the next thing. And a Google search will show up your competitor, and it will show up their telephone number. So you must make sure that your telephone number is on there if they're someone who's easily going to move on to your next, your competitor, because they need a result today. If you have a mailing list, you have masses of people coming to you every day, and it would just be a nightmare to have everybody connecting with you and sending invitations to you on LinkedIn, and there will be lots of individual conversations you'd have to be having just to nurture those leads and actually bring them through to the buying decision. Then you would really want to send them off to your mailing list. So that's off to your website for a free download or something like that, where they can engage with your content over the course of time in a much more passive way that they feel engaged, but actually you're not involved in the process. So that's a really important one. Or you might want them to send you a connection invitation, invite to connect, and there can be an awful lot of leads inside of those invitations that you sit there going, I don't know this person, they're not connected to me, I've had no background with them, I don't know who they are. Actually, a lot of leads do sit in there, because that's often the only way people know how to get in contact with you, and they think, well, I'll just press this connection and see what happens. And it could be weeks before you go back and accept a connection, or you might not send a personal message, or it might take a while after you sent a personal message saying, why have you connected with me, for that person to come back to you. So again, that's delaying the whole sales process. So what we recommend is, on the advice for contacting, which everybody has on their profile, and if you haven't filled it in yet, then just go to your edit mode, and when you're in the edit mode you can scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you'll actually see there the opportunity to fill out advice for contacting. So I've filled mine in, you can read it yourselves there. I talk about my aim to develop a quality network, how I'd like people to get in touch. I'm happy, and you'll know this from the end, just spend 30 minutes giving people free feedback on their profile. So I put that on there, that's how I want people to get in touch, and I give out my the company number there, because I don't want people phoning me on my mobile. Being a woman, it wouldn't be very very good, very safe. So they can phone the company, or they can email me. So that's there. And so I recommend that. And just to let you know that the results that people are getting from putting this training into practice, this is Trish, and she has, with it just doing our webinar content, she was able to win a £15,000 new contract. And that's in the coaching market. So those of you who know what coaching's like and how hard it is to get a coaching contract, you'll actually really appreciate the figure and how significant that actually is. So those are a few of the tips there that I'd like to just let you know about with your profile. It's about making it engaging. It's about thinking about the end user. It's thinking about how they're getting involved with you, interacting with your content, hearing about what you do, and then getting to the point where you can actually have a conversation with them. So looking at how should the person connect with you is really important. And a lot of this stuff, once it's set, it's done. You just set it and forget it and leave it alone. And then it's up to you whether you choose to do proactive or active strategies to actually drive traffic to your profile. But trust me, people will always be coming to your profile. Your name is searchable, it will come up. Whoever you're connected with, people will learn about you from that. So you really want to have this all together, otherwise it's affecting your brand in a really negative way. So just to let you know, for those of you who are interested in everything we've said here, and I hope that it's delivered a huge amount of value to you just hearing these insights. And basically at the moment, there's probably 3 types of people listening right now. Those who go, great content, thanks very much, really interested, but that's all I need. And if that's you, that's great. The second person would be like, maybe this is right for my business, but actually I'm not too sure. And the third person would be like, yep, I'm all in, I want to know more, I want to know how I can get my profile sorted out. So if that is you, you're saying, yep, I want to get my profile sorted out, I want to start taking on some of these proactive and active strategies, I want to get really good at the social etiquette and knowing how to communicate with people and how to build genuine relationships with people that engage rather than push them away. And I can see the value in having 60% of my decision-making process taken care of by the time I actually sit in front of a prospect and have this working for me. If that is you, I'd like to invite you along to our social selling workshop. And basically what this is, how we designed this is really interesting. It's actually a full day's worth of training, but instead of delivering it in one day, we've actually split it up into 2 half days. And the reason why we split it into 2 half days is because we are a company that talk about results. We are all about results. And if we don't get a result for our clients, we have no business. We have no business being here, and we won't take your money. So basically, we know that with LinkedIn, what you need to be doing is a very, very practical. You need to be getting out there and you need to be connecting with people, because it's only when you pick up the phone and talk to your prospects do you actually have the chance to sell. So what we do is, instead of overloading you in one day with content and then expecting you to take it all on board, and we know that doesn't happen because information flies out of our brain quicker than it went in, and also because when we go back to the office we get busy, we get other projects we have to do. It could be weeks before we actually sit down and apply our learning. So instead of doing it in one day, we actually split it over 2 half days. Between those, the 2 half days that are 3 weeks apart, the reason they're 3 weeks apart is so that you can get going doing it, you can get in the habit of doing it, you can get in the habit of measuring, because we show you how to track and measure your results so you can see what's working and what's not. And we can also ensure that you are doing this and getting results. And by doing it and actually having a practical experience of it, it means that when you come back to the training, you are actually able to ask our experts much more in-depth questions, because they're applicable questions rather than theoretical questions. So you're going to get a lot more value from it doing it that way. And also, because we want to make sure that everybody coming on the course is at a level where if we show, well, everybody walks out of the course with a list of prospects, highly targeted prospects that they can go and start reaching out to and engaging with. Because we want everybody to actually be in a position where they can pick up the phone and reach out or send connection messages, we actually want everybody to have their profile up to a certain point before they come, so they feel confident to do that. And there's quite a bit of content in there that's really useful to know and to work on. So we actually supply you with 7 webinars that are 90 minutes long each that really delve into this content, and that's looking at how to build your profile, how to leverage your online and offline networking, how to launch a new product or service on LinkedIn, which is really, really, really great. And there's 23 different ways of using LinkedIn to bring in new leads to your business. And we do recommend you watch that one before you come, just so you start learning the language, seeing the possibilities and what's possible, what you could be doing, and considering it for yourself. So again, when you come to the training, you can actually ask really in-depth questions that are right for, and find out what's right for your business and get feedback on your ideas. So that is pretty much our training. So you're going to get live training for 2.5 days. You're going to get accountability from the group. We also have an online LinkedIn group which you can use to ask questions and keep you motivated. And you're going to learn how to measure, and you're actually going to spend 3 weeks really focusing on reaching out and making connections. And just so you know as well, one of our clients, Lee Ashton, who we've worked very closely with, she came on the training and applied our strategy, just one of the strategies actually, and she discovered that of all the people she wanted to get in touch with, there were 7 people who were connected with pretty much everyone she wanted to get connected with. So she sent out messages to them, and within 1 hour she had 7 new appointments to go and speak with these 7 people and tell them what she's doing today, what's useful, what's interesting, and how she can help the people that they know. And each one of those people she went and had coffee with, and they were like, oh yeah, brilliant, okay, I'll recommend you in. And she was actually able to say, well, my key objectives is I really want to meet this person, this person, and this person. That, yeah, if that's your top 3 priority, then I'll get in touch with those people for you. And lots of new contracts have come out of it. Now, Lee's in sales, she's a sales trainer, and she's been doing it for 29 years, and she says like never before has she actually seen a tool that can generate high quality targeted leads that get results so quickly. So that's really, really important. Now you're probably asking, when are the courses, how much are the courses, how do I get involved? Well, you can find out more about it by going to reallyconnect.com/SSP. It stands for Social Selling Program. And on there you can read more about it. There's a drop down there which will tell you more about each of the 7 webinars that we do. And at the bottom you'll see how you can get signed up. And that will give you the dates as well for all the future dates that are coming up. So just so you know, the webinars on their own are usually £247 plus VAT, and the LinkedIn Social Selling Workshop is £497. It's currently, what we're doing at the moment is actually bundling those 2 things together, because we know that to get results you have to be at a certain point, and we don't want to waste your time teaching you to suck eggs and do, we want everybody to be at the same point when they come to the training. So we do the quick start webinars for everybody so that they can get to a really advanced level and get results from the training. So we bundle those 2 together, and we actually are doing a special offer with the 2 together, and it's just £497. Now I'll let you into a secret. I've put £497 on there because the price will be going up January 1st. That's January 1st, 2014. This is a recording. You might be listening to it live. I know you are right now, but someone later might be listening to it later. And the price will be $497 in January. I'm putting that out there. That's going to happen. But actually, if you join now with the dates that we've got coming up that are currently advertised, you can get this training for £397. So if you go to reallyconnect.com/SSP, you can get this training for that price. And the results we're getting, you'll just have a look on the videos there and you'll see lots of stories about people getting results. So if you are, so that's if you are the 3rd person, if you're like, yep, I'm ready to go for it. But if you're in the maybe category, I'm still not sure, I've got questions, that is a perfectly normal place to be. You might be asking whether this is right for your business, whether is this really something? And you just need that little bit of assurance as to whether it's good for you or not. I am very happy to spend 45 minutes with you and just go through your business, your challenges, your goals, and what's going on for you right now. And we'll delve right into it, and I'll give you some feedback on your profile and really help you to understand whether the LinkedIn is the right place for you, so you can know once and for all whether this is the place for you to invest your time, whether it's right for your business. So if that's something you want to do, the only thing I request is you come with an open mind and you've done everything on your profile that I've already told you. So whatever I've told you in this webinar, try to put all of it into practice to the best of your ability, so that when I give you feedback, I'm really adding value. Because otherwise I won't be adding so much value, and I'd really like to help you get a really slick profile and give you real value. So do that, and if you want to chat and see whether this is right for you, this training, you've got specific questions, sign yourself up for an accelerator session using the link there, reallyconnect.com accelerator. Or you can, if you just got very quick questions, you can email me, naomi@reallyconnect.com, or call into the company and just ask your quick questions. I'll be very happy to answer them for you. So that is the end of the presentation today. Oops, I'll just go back a second. So Mike, I know that you were checking out the questions there because I can't actually see them. So I know I've gone over time, haven't I, as well. I do like to talk, I have to say. So Mike, is there any questions there that people have that would like to ask?
No, there's not many questions at the moment here, Naomi. There's been a good dialogue that's been happening throughout the session, and so we're basically been answering some of the questions that have popped up. There's some questions earlier on about how to sync your app and how you can coordinate your LinkedIn contacts with your database. So Gareth had a great tip of saying using all sync when there's a link previously that was posted. So there are some really good tips and so on from people that were on here. But is there any questions? Let's throw it over to the audience now. Is there any questions that people have before we bring it to a close? In touch. Cheers, David. So David saying he'll be in touch. Good to hear. And Steve gave a raving testimonial or a very nice words he mentioned about your accelerator session there too, Naomi. He said that Naomi has the edge on how technology have and are impacting our ability to sell or not. And it's a great session, and I need to update my profile now. So well done. I think everyone's sort of been. Actually, hang on. There's a question here from Stephen. How do you do the next contact box you were referring to? How to do the contact box you were referring
The
to?
advice for contacting?
Yes, exactly, yes.
And it's Stephen, is it?
Yes, it is,
okay,
yep.
What you need to do is to go into your profile, into the edit function. So you've got all the little edit words next to it with the blue pencils. Scroll right down to the very, very bottom. And it should be the last option that you have, and it'll say advice for contacting Stephen on it. And then you can just click on there and press edit, and then you can fill it in. Hopefully that should take care of it. It's right at the bottom, so you have to scroll down quite a bit. And if you're not in edit mode, you won't see it.
No, just there's a lot of good comments coming through, Naomi, saying top class presentation, very helpful, good session, very helpful and inspiring. That's great to hear. So guys, thanks for the advice. What does activity mean? On LinkedIn, so the question from Dr. Eddie Bliss is saying on LinkedIn, what does activity mean? Essentially, activity could mean a few different things. Not 100% sure what you mean by that, but often activity means about how active you are. So posting status updates and things like that is the main source of activity. But if you're talking about personal activity, then it's to do with the top of my profile. So that's like the posting that you're doing. So the comments and everything that you share, and the comments you like, and the comments you release, your status updates. That's what it relates to, Dr. Eddie. But overall, when we say activity, from our side, we mean what are you physically doing, proactively to generate leads. But in terms of what it says on the profile, it's just the statements and the status updates that you're making and commenting on and so on. Hope that helps. Cool, you're welcome. All right, folks, thank you we've still got a very high number of people sticking around, so thank you for that. And listen, unless there's any other specific questions, we know we've gone a little bit over time here, but Naomi's got such great valuable information to share. So Naomi, thank you for such a valuable session. Everyone's really enjoyed it, including myself.
Great.
Excellent. Okay. Well, folks, if that's about it, what I'd suggest is feel free to take advantage of the accelerator session or to get involved if you'd like to attend the program if you've seen enough by following the links. I'll put the links in there for you now for one final time. reallyconnect.com/SSP. So that's one of the links, and the other one for the accelerator section is that. So they're the two links. If you'd like to come along to the social selling program, feel free to click on that. It's reallyconnect.com/SSP, or the accelerator session, reallyconnect.com/accelerator. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day or evening, and we'll look forward to hearing from you next time. And Naomi, thank you very much again for running this show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me do a webinar.
Excellent. Take care then. Bye.
Bye.